Okay, and we are live, so we'll go ahead and get started, and I will call to order this meeting of this special session of the Auburn City Council for August 28th, 2020, and our Economic Recovery Workshop. So if you all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I've updated my home office for the day, so it looks a little different. But let's go ahead and get started here. We'll start with if the city clerk can please take the roll.
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
I'm here, present.
Amara. Present. Mackey.
Here.
Bogley.
Here.
And Mayor Berlant.
And I am here. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with public comment. This is the time provided for anybody who would like to make a comment on an item that is on the agenda. As we posted for the meeting, we've been accepting public comment both via email at publiccomment@auburn.ca.gov as well as by voicemail. So at this point, I will turn it to the city clerk to see if there are any comments from the public.
I just double checked and we do not have any public comment.
Okay, great. Then we'll move into our economic recovery workshop. And first item here is the health and emergency response. I'll first start off with saying that this is my normal day to meet with our county health officer, but the county at the last minute, I don't know if it was an accident or what, but they changed the meeting. So a large number of us, including myself, and I think even our city manager, did not attend today. However, through the entire, what would have been our meeting with the public health officer, I did get an opportunity to listen to the governor, and I know a number of you as well did. And so just really quick, kind of go over some of the highlights that the governor announced today, because it does make a pretty big change into what we're doing. So obviously, we had been on the monitoring list. We had come off the monitoring list. We were expected to have our 14-day wait period in on September 2nd. We were waiting for the governor to announce which restrictions may be lifted at that point. As many of the indoor operations had been closed when we got added to the monitoring list, but then just to kind of add a complication, once we got added to the list, the rules changed a little bit and all indoor operations went into a public health order statewide. And so the connection of indoor operations and the monitoring list really had no connection anymore. So getting off the monitoring list really meant almost nothing except for higher education and for schools. However, today the governor announced, if you didn't see, a new tier system that sets a new framework, as he called it, to determine where counties are with both their case rates as well as their positivity rate, and looking at which business sectors remain closed or are closed based on where you sit in that tiered system. So the highest level for most of the counties now, going from what was the monitoring list, is now the widespread level or tier, which is the purple. And in each of these new levels, as there are four, they are color-coded: purple, red, orange, and yellow. And there's some new rules on how you get reduced from one tier down to the next. And that includes a 21-day wait period after you have met the metrics of the tier below you for 2 weeks in a row. So Placer County has been placed on the widespread level, the purple, the highest level. So in order for us to go from that level down one level and allow us to then have some sectors reopen, it will require us for 2 weeks in a row to meet the metrics of that next level. And after 2 weeks in a row of meeting the metrics, then we wait 21 days. And then at that point, we will be able to see some sectors reopen. So I did post and sent to the council a full list of all of the different business sectors with some updates. Really, the only major change is for hairstylists and barbershops. That sector will be allowed statewide to reopen effective Monday. So they are no longer connected to any of the colors. But the one I think we were most wanting, and that we had sent a letter, both the city council as well as the mayors and the board of supervisors, requesting our indoor operations for our nail salons, for example, our gyms, and really for our restaurants being the largest. And all three of those remain on the closure list for those in the widespread tier or purple, which we are located. So no changes really to many of the sectors unless you're a barbershop or a hairstylist. Again, there's a huge long list. Schools is another one. There had already been preparations to allow schools to reopen for in-person instruction once our 14-day wait period from the monitoring list had ended, which was September 2nd. So essentially, if schools met all the other requirements, they could essentially in Placer County open on September 2nd. However, under this new order, you cannot open school in-person instruction when you're on the widespread list, which is where we are on. So schools will continue to be at virtual learning. Just real quick, just to give everybody an idea, and I'm trying to pull it up here as I speak, an idea of where we are as far as our case numbers. And I don't have it in front of me, sorry. Our case numbers have continued to actually grow at a very slow rate. We had added just a handful over the last week. We'll get some updated numbers here shortly, and I will get those out. So we are making progress. The governor made it very clear, though, to us as elected leaders, as well as our community leaders, so our business leaders, that if we want to get off of the widespread level list, or we want to move down a tier, it's upon us to ensure that we are stopping the spread of the virus, making sure people are wearing face coverings and face masks, practical distancing, not having public gatherings, washing their hands, and all the other proper precautions that people are supposed to take. So that is a quick kind of summary. It's complex. It's hard for me. I typed as quickly as I could, as probably some of you did as well. I posted on my Facebook some additional information on what the tiers look like, what those metrics are, so that you can have that as well. But I think at the end of the day, and I'll stop here, it was disappointing to say the least, just because we have made progress and we met the goals that were set upon us. And now that goalpost has been moved, and not just moved a little bit, not just moved again. It's moved a minimum of 5 weeks. So if even tomorrow we meet the metric for the tier below us, it is over a month before we'll be able to really do anything. So I'll end it there. I know a couple others watched it. If there's anything I missed, I'll take the opportunity to pass it on to anybody else. And it looks like Councilwoman Mackey and then Councilwoman Dowden-Calvillo. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Yeah. Somewhere I thought that nail salons were allowed to open.
No.
Nail salons are on the list very clearly to that they
Close.
can only be outdoor operations with modifications. And the other thing that I will note that is actually very helpful is except it doesn't work really well, at least as of so far. They did launch a new website. The covid19.ca.gov webpage has been completely revamped. There you can actually go onto a page to see what's open. You can enter in your zip code, and then it will show you which business sectors are closed and what's not. I will tell you, I had to do it by hand because the zip code feature did not work. So I had to literally go in each sector that I wanted, business type, and then scroll down to see what it said for Placer County. So eventually, though, it should be a good tool for anybody to go just type in 95603 and see what sectors. But in looking at the list, Cheryl, it does say nail salons are open outdoors only with modifications.
So Daniel, one other thing, I don't understand on our COVID-19 dashboard for the county, how do we find out how many daily, I don't see where that is, how many daily cases there are.
I think, again, unfortunately not being able to talk with the health officer today, my assumption is that the dashboard is going to have to change a bit because it's really structured based on the past now. metrics. And so they're going to have to recalculate some of those formulas. So I will follow up though on that and share that with the group so that we can have an idea of, is the dashboard going to change so that we can kind of compare our metrics that are on the, or excuse me, our numbers that are on the dashboard with the metrics that we need to start meeting.
Yeah, because we are below the positivity rate that they're requiring to get out of the purple zone. But I can't see our daily case rate. I see 68.9 cases per 100,000 in 14 days, but it doesn't have a daily rate. So anyway.
Yeah. I will definitely follow up on that because that's some clarity. But my assumption is, just like everything, over the last several months, the county probably learned all of these items either when we did or just moments before we did, and it's not clear until we learned it too. So I will follow up though to let all of you know that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Councilwoman Down in Calvillo, did you have questions?
Yes, so
I know
thanks.
you were watching as well.
I was watching diligently and taking notes as well. So with regards to the movement between the various categories, the color-coded categories now, because we've moved from list names to colors, he said there's a 21-day mandatory wait time between moves, and that we have to meet the criteria for the next tier for 2 straight weeks. So when he said that, what I gathered was we can't move sooner than 3 weeks, but if we were on the if we were in purple and then we met the requirements to come off purple, we would have to wait 21 days, but then we also have to wait 2 weeks for to meet the criteria for red. So I wasn't really quite sure exactly. I mean, he's saying there's a 21-day mandatory wait time between the moves. So, but then you have to meet the metrics for the next level for 2 straight weeks. So I wasn't clear if the 2 straight weeks could include some of that 21 days.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll write that down and follow up. So I guess what I'm hearing your question is it retroactive? So if we have already been meeting the criteria of the red tier, does that count towards the 2 weeks in a row?
The 2 straight weeks. Yeah, I just wasn't,
that's a good one.
Because that means a difference of, 3 weeks to 5 weeks. So we immediately go to the red group, then it seems like we have to wait the 21 days. But if we meet the criteria for 2 straight weeks of those 21 days, I think then we can advance into the red group. So yeah, if you can just get further clarification, because I think that that's what that means. Because when he talked about schools, he talked about how you had to be off the list, but then you had to wait 2 additional weeks, and that schools were a little bit different. He talked about the indoor operations and so forth, but the schools he talked about differently. And so with schools, I think it is 5 weeks. So I guess it's, any clarification you can get, Daniel, that would be really important, because I just wasn't clear on that.
Yep, I'm happy to follow up.
Love to be able to include that 2 straight weeks in that 21-day mandatory wait time.
Hey, Daniel, with regard to schools, a lot of them are already in process getting ready to open based on the previous guidance. Is there a grandfather? I mean, are they going to allow the previous? So they just basically, all these schools that are set to open September 5 or whatever, they have to now wait 3 weeks or whatever.
Yes.
Yes, and it's interesting. My wife works at one of the schools that was set to open, and if you've seen in the news, Rockland has gone back and forth on whether they can do it or not. But they had last decided they couldn't because they weren't able to meet some of the requirements. But I think, like Alice said, I think the answer is no. The rules of the game change as of today.
So does that include the private schools? I know St. Joe's was set to open too.
It applies to all schools, private and public.
And my understanding, because it was mentioned at the press conference, I do think there's a active case or a lawsuit related to whether or not private schools follow these, have to follow these rules. But I think, as Alice said, it it was made clear that at this point that the state believes the answer is yes until a judge rules otherwise.
Also, I put a link in the chat. I think they said that salons and haircuts and barbershops are opening.
Yes, hair salons, but not nail salons. So barber shops and hair salons, we can resume indoor operations, but nail salons are clearly outdoor only.
Toes are going to have to wait still.
Toes are gonna have to wait, and I'll tell you.
My wife did her own the other day. That's desperate times.
Yeah, I had to do that too. It was pretty rough.
Any other questions on some of these new rules and where we are? I don't know if anybody else listened or had anything else to add to it.
Well,
You know,
Daniel,
Daniel, oh, sorry, Cheryl, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
I read somewhere, and I can't remember where I read it, that Orange County was going to be heard by, Orange County School District was going to be heard at the Supreme Court of the state of California today on whether it was legal for Newsom to tell the schools to close or not, whether he had the right to do that. Has anybody else read that anywhere?
There's pending litigation, but I don't know if it's a private school in Orange County, but I know there is, I don't know when it's going to be heard. I think it's just pending litigation. And I thought it was private schools, but I could be mistaken. I haven't heard, to be honest with you, Cheryl, of any litigation impacting public schools.
Okay.
There was something with regards to charter, but not on the opening, I think. I can check that and let you know.
Okay, thank you.
And Alice, did you have another item?
No, I don't, let me see. I don't think I had anything more on that issue.
Okay, I thought I saw your hand. Anybody else on the health emergency response? John, I don't know if you had anything as well on this item.
Yeah, just real quick. I talked to the county, and to kind of answer the one question that came up, the county was getting it as the governor was talking about it. Literally, when I called over there, I talked to Shauna Pratt, and she said, we're all gathered around the computer right now. So I don't think the county got any type of heads up. I think that the whole multicolored, multi-tier system had been hinted at yesterday. I was on a call yesterday that said that the teaser was everybody needs to watch the governor because of the new system's coming out. So anyway, the answer to the question is they heard it when we all got it at noon when the governor was speaking.
I think the unfortunate part was everybody, including at least myself, assumed that it was actually going to be a good announcement. But
Yes.
anyways, okay, if there's nothing else on this, then we'll move to our next item, which is our city actions and services. So John, I'll just let you keep continuing.
Just a couple of things for the people that are on the call. Council knows about this. So at the Monday council meeting, the council did adopt a resolution which gives us the ability to enforce both the county and the state orders on this. Really, the direction from the council was very clear that if we're going to do any code enforcement to enforce the orders, it would be for a very egregious kind of the real bad actors on things. So we're going to take that to heart, keeping up with education information as far as any type of enforcement activities go. In the talk today, the governor emphasized that the governor's office is really looking at local governments, how they're enforcing and doing the various things that they need to do. Second thing, the city staff, we met with the Downtown Business Association, actually on two different cases this week, talking about some of the outdoor dining, expanding some of the things, looking at new options moving forward for kind of the post-COVID or the new COVID / post-COVID area on everything. I think all of that's absolutely working extremely well. Stay tuned. I think we're going to there'll be some proposals and more information meetings coming out for working with residents, business owners, and property owners in our business districts. Third thing, I don't want to steal any thunder from Jackie or Amy, but the Rose Room overfloweth. If you know anybody that needs hand sanitizer or face masks or anything, actually Amy and I talked about literally getting a wagon and going business to business and giving it to people whether they want it or not. Part of the new enforcement thing, if you don't take the hand sanitizer from us, we'll give you a ticket. But we have plenty of PPE that we're going to try and get out to folks. Matter of fact, Amy and I were kicking around the idea that going to even some of the larger brand name businesses out on 49 and really getting the stuff out. We have plenty. I've got a truck, and we will go and do our best to get everything out. So all the way around, I think we're doing everything we can. Obviously, we're going to look at the new tier system, the color coding system. I will share with you, I like the mayor. I think everybody, I was on a call yesterday with all the Northern California city managers, everybody to a person expected that we were going to get very different news than the governor announced today on things. The fact that the vast majority of California is purple, even the best actors, was kind of a shot. So as we can kind of figure everything out, I've been scanning through the website on things, trying to figure some of the things out. There's a lot of caveats in the updated website because it talks about the Department of Public Health is going to evaluate on a weekly basis. They're going to redo their numbers on a weekly basis. So who knows, it could be very much a moving target, but we'll do our best to get information out to everybody. And as we get it, we will provide it. That's my update.
Hey, John, I have a question. As far as the putting pressure on businesses for not following, can the officers or whoever's doing it take around the hand sanitizer and be like, here, this will help you out?
Yeah, I think as we're going with things, honestly, as we found with the businesses in town, they're doing an exceptional job. They're right on with everything. And I think there are only a couple of, semi-rebels on some of the things that we'll address. But I think our ability to push some of the updated information, get the guidance documents out, spread the PPE as much as we can. I mean, literally going and getting a kid's wagon and going business to business, I think will benefit, and we'll do our best to try and just get people to play ball on this stuff. But
I have a golf cart we could use to put her around town in.
Even better.
I was just thinking the police department, every time they go out to a crime, they're like, well, we're going to have to arrest you, but here's some hand sanitizer. Fire department, we're here for your medical aid. We've treated you. We're going to leave you with a hand sanitizer. So a parting gift.
I don't think John's ever going to let me make a decision again on PPE.
Jackie was banking that we're going to continue to need all this stuff for the time to come. And with 5 more weeks minimum, Groundhog's Day, Jackie, it may have been a good bet. So we'll see. John, thank you for your updates. I do have one question for you. With the action that the council took last week to adopt the 2 state orders and the guidance, does any of that change with today's announcements, or do the 2 orders and the guidance that had already, the required guidance, I should say, do those still apply and it's just kind of the framework that changes? Meaning, are we going to have to readopt something in order to keep enforcing?
No, actually the resolution basically took the county order, which by the way expired already, but basically it says the county orders as they are or as they are reissued or amended, and for the states. So the framework we have is good. I think the tough part is trying to figure out kind of on a side by side, because with the multicolored system, there are some things that we thought were coming off or we thought had come off. So at some point, I think we're going to need to kind of do a side-by-side comparison just so that we know what we're supposed to enforce. Because if you would have asked me at 11:30 today, if indoor dining and the things that the council advocated for in the letter that was sent off to the Department of Public Health, I would have given you a much different answer at 11:30. Matter of fact, both me and both of our chiefs met this afternoon, and it was a big head shaker on what to do. So bottom line, we're going to have to evaluate what we're doing and whether you mentioned whether the goalpost had moved. Yeah, it moved a lot, but that means really good education, being proactive with the businesses, getting guidance out to them. We are not going to take a stick on this thing. We will offer plenty of PPE as our carrot, but for the most part, we need to work collaboratively with the businesses and get them on board. So anyway, bottom line, side by side. But as far as the council actions go, I think we've got all we need.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that. Any other questions from anybody else related to the city's actions and services? Okay, not seeing any. We can go ahead. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. We can go ahead and move to the Placer Shares program, as well as their Placer Shares dining and or eats and drinks group. So Jackie, I'll turn it over to you and you can kind of recap the fun we had yesterday.
So much fun. Yeah, we did have a couple of town hall meetings. The first one was very well attended. The second one was lightly attended. We got some really good information from the county as far as applying for the program, taking your time to make sure all your paperwork was in order before starting to apply, and making sure that all your questions were asked before starting. Our second town hall meeting, there was a little hesitation in Sherry's voice when she said, I think Daniel, you had stepped off, that the applications are coming in a lot slower than she thought. She thinks she may have exaggerated waiting and not jumping on it the first couple days. So she's hoping that they pick up a little because it was very slow the first 2 days. But other than that, I think it's on a roll. I think that there's been a lot of really good information. And we've gotten a lot of information out to our businesses on it.
And if I'm not mistaken, the county today actually held a webinar. So I'm not sure if that was recorded, but that may be something too that we can share for those that didn't watch it. But did you do anything with the recording from your first meeting? Is that available?
We do. We have it on the Chamber's website on the COVID page. So that recording from the first one, not the tap dancing one. I think we'll leave that one off. But
Jackie and I had a tap dance because the county had some internet problems. So Sherry was a few minutes late. And so we had to kind of give the overview. And Jackie, you did very well. So
no, luckily Daniel's a professional communication person, so he could tap dance a lot better than I could.
It went fine. So any questions that anybody has related to the Placer Shares program? Okay, good. Well, then I know I will share the video out so that people who didn't get a chance to join us has the opportunity to pay attention, because as I said at both of the town hall meetings, my goal would be to see the highest percentage of Auburn businesses and nonprofits get these grants as possible. Of course, it's not necessarily statistically going to be given. It could be a lottery system, so may just be luck, but we will see. So, okay, thanks, Jackie, for that. We'll just keep on going down for your items. And so the business personal protective equipment, I know John had mentioned plenty of hand sanitizer, but any updates on issuing that out?
We actually have had quite a lot of people requesting it the past couple of weeks, so we are getting it out. We got cleared out most of what was in history of people not picking up. Thanks to Amy, she called on them and made sure that they could come get it. And then we did another email blast and got about 45 new requests. So we've filled those and just waiting to pick them up. I know Amy had a bunch yesterday. I had quite a bit on Tuesday. And like John said, we're going to go around and distribute to the different businesses. And once we get the businesses covered, I think we'll work on some kind of individual basis and figure out how to get that covered too.
Great. I know Amy's not on at the moment, but was there anything decided related to issuing or making hand sanitizer available for public pickup for our
Yes.
residents?
We haven't come to a complete conclusion. I might get with the fairgrounds and see if they can help me out doing something. I don't want to take up all of the city's time
Say on a Thursday night, maybe?
Yeah, we can have it at the farmer's market. I like it, Daniel. But yeah, we can get it out to individuals because they need it just as much as the businesses do. So
Hey, Jackie, are the distribution days Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday? I missed my slot today to get some for the shop.
we have, you would think that I would deliver it directly to you. We change it up every week. It's kind of when Amy has a free moment. I guess now that I have a way to get into the building, I can do it a little bit easier. But we change it up so that it falls into different slots for different people. And Amy has been taking, when people contact her directly, she'll just walk down there and they'll give her a time and she'll go down and load up their car.
I promise I'll get by next week.
Jackie, we can chat afterwards, but I'm serious. I actually think the Thursday night farmers market at the fairgrounds may be a great place for the public to come and get that. Maybe this Thursday, and even September 10th, I think is going to be a popular Thursday as well. So
I'm sure Dawn would be A-okay with that.
perfect. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Any questions from anybody related to the PPE? Okay, good. Jackie, because we just like to keep all three of your reports back to back. Any other item from the Chamber of Commerce?
No, it was mostly PPE and the shares program. We have been getting quite a few complaints from hair salons, but that's mostly who we're hearing from. They're just ready to get back to work. And I know a couple of them that are in the bigger salons. They're not in city limits, but in SOLA, that their landlords just aren't allowing them to open back up. So they're having trouble with that.
Well, hopefully the good news for them will spread. I know I'll tell you, I sent it to a guy who cuts my hair and he was excited. So definitely good news, at least for that one sector. Thank you, Jackie. Any questions for the chamber? Okay, then we'll go ahead and move.
I have a question for you, Daniel.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, something that just made me think of something. The hair salons can open up. What about if a nail person works in a hair salon?
I think it's a great question. My assumption is the answer is still no, just like it could be a hairstylist outdoors, but not if there were chemicals and all these other, other pieces. So I think nothing is simple. There's always the what ifs. And I don't know that answer. I think it's a valid one, but I would have to assume that the answer is still no. Just my guess.
It probably is, but doesn't seem logical. Anyway.
Based on, I'll just leave it there.
Costco loophole. We're open for haircuts, but we also offer other stuff.
Yeah.
And moving on to our business association reports, we'll start with April for downtown.
Hello, can you hear me? John mentioned some of the projects that we're working on is to make a longer term change to downtown to enable outdoor dining. Perhaps indefinitely, perhaps big changes, but we do have to, have a information system going out to our members and then out to the neighbors and all that. I don't know that there's anything. We finished our install last Sunday in front of the Taqueria and Ninja Sushi. I think that's our last one from what we can tell. So I did hear that the umbrella installation down at the art park is the metal frame isn't constructed yet, so don't hold your breath on that. They're on their schedule, but it's not going to be as soon as that I had hoped. I don't know that I've mentioned before that East Placer Park, we have a plan to refurbish that, to put in new plantings and to fix up the planter boxes. I'm not positive if I talked about that before. I think that's it. Oh, Christmas. We have been initiated to talk about Christmas or holidays, December, the season, and trying to get some discussion going on that because it'll be here in no time. So we have another Zoom meeting with the districts on Wednesday at 5:30. So if anybody wants to be on that, we feel the need to get that conversation going ASAP.
Great, thank you. Any questions for April? Yeah, Matt, go ahead.
Right. April, with everything that's going on in the world, I think I saw or heard that New Belgium Deli has shut their doors. Do you have a list of folks that are close to that point, and is there anything we as a city can do to reach out and help those businesses that are teetering on the brink?
I don't know of any kind of a list. I think he walked away pretty early, if I'm not mistaken. Just locked the door and walked away. So I don't know what the reason was for that, but no, I don't have any advance notice of anything like that. We could try to get that, a warning system to see if some help could be needed, and we can work on that.
Yeah, it's just sad to watch this go down, and with the governor changing not only the goalposts but the rules and the entire game on us. It's really frustrating. And we have such a tight-knit community. If there was things that we could do, notifications, posts, whatever on social media, I bet we'd see a pretty strong outpouring of support for businesses that were on that brink. I mean, we're all suffering, I get that, but if there were a way to figure out who's close to the edge of shutting doors, I would like to know that. I would certainly go out of my way to make sure that, because I go downtown and I have options. I can pick where I want to, grab a bite to eat or get a cup of coffee or a bagel or whatever. If I knew somebody specifically was struggling, I would certainly change my, I would go to support that business. So I don't know how difficult it would be to get that information, but I do think it would be useful information for us to know.
I think that's a really good idea. And there is kind of a flip side to it, is that there has been frustration from some business owners who find their employees to be harassed when they are enforcing the mask requirement. And that can get kind of abusive. So there's, it hasn't panned out, but there have been some people who've talked about being so tired of that atmosphere that they would close down, but not so much for an economic reason, but just not a tolerable work circumstance. So we'll try and take that survey. There's an issue about emails and contacting businesses that we need to talk to the city manager about, that I've talked to a couple of the members about, that would make it a lot easier to contact businesses. But we can certainly check in with the core and kind of move out from there and ask to have advance information if somebody feels like they're on the brink.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you, April. Appreciate that. We'll move to Old Town. So Nina, good afternoon. What's going on in Old Town?
Hi, guys. I missed you all. Sorry, I was gone for a week. We did not have a meeting last week because we canceled our general meeting because it was when the heat wave was. So we decided not to do it. So there's not too huge of an update. A couple other things that are just going on. The restaurants seem to be moving along fine, but I will provide them with the updates from today. And we're just working with April, trying to coordinate the Christmas. I believe Drew from Carpe Vino is kind of the lead on that. We're going to have our board meeting in a week. And everybody they seem to, like I said, they chose not to close down the streets, but maybe with this new information, we might look towards closing down Washington for some of the restaurants, but I will throw that out to them. Initially, I think they thought it was going to be more short-term. So this sounds like it's a little bit more long-term. So we'll probably look into that. we did, Daniel, I think you were there, the first Noshing for Nonprofits. They went over really, really well. The senior centers, it seems like they're going to do really well. And people really enjoyed the outdoor and being able to sit and eat or pick up their food. So our next one is September 10th. And the beneficiary on that will be Young Life, and the food. I know this might be a surprise given my husband's going to be more of a New Orleans style. So we're going to do jambalaya and gumbo on that one. And again, it's $25 a person. And that'll benefit Young Life, who got hit pretty hard from COVID. And I think that's kind of it for Old Town at this point. And I want to thank April for taking the lead on Christmas, because regardless of what it looks like, we need to make it really nice out here. And it's nice to have the associations working together. I think April and I have pulled together more than what's been in the past. So that's been kind of nice to have that going. And I think it's going to be a better flow. And that's about it. And again, Daniel, thank you for coming by the Noshing for Nonprofit. And hopefully all of you guys can come by. And one other thing that I think in April, if you guys want to join in this, I was thinking about the two business associations having a candidates night for city council. And I can do that here because, again, I have the 7,000 square feet of outdoor decking. And so people could sit safely at a safe distance. So Alice, kind of put that on your radar. I'll get a date. I'm thinking maybe like the third Tuesday in September. So that's about where we are.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Nina in Old Town?
So, Nina?
Yeah, sure.
I'd like you to let me know if you could firm up that date, because we're looking to have a candidates forum at the State Theater as well.
Okay.
So, let me know what that date is so that it doesn't conflict. Okay.
And I'm glad you brought up the State Theater. We're actually going to do a Noshing for Nonprofits for them. They reached out to us. The State Theater wants to do one in the Symphony. So we're going to actually carry these until October and possibly November, which will be interesting. And maybe, Daniel, this is something you can look at for the outdoor dining. If we have to carry that out, I have the big tents, like the big circus tents, like when you go to fairs. And I think the idea was, if it got cold, is we would put up the tents and bring out heaters. I don't think that constitutes indoor dining. I would argue that it doesn't. So it would be interesting to see. And I know somebody brought up Orange County, who I happen to work for. That case is before the California Supreme Court, and it's a private school that's challenging it, as well as some church groups that are challenging the governor's orders. I think it is scheduled to be heard next week on an emergency basis. So
That's private schools though, right, Nina? Private school?
yes, it's private schools, charter schools, churches, and some individual businesses have joined in as well. It's a pretty big lawsuit, and I think they actually have some pretty good grounds looking at it from a legal standpoint.
Well, I would assume that if the private schools set a precedent and the governor can't make them close, then I would see the public schools following suit.
So it'll be interesting. And this is kind of a sad thing, but I was actually going to talk to Brian about it. It doesn't particularly pertain to us, but one of the sad things as a result of COVID is drug use and alcohol use is on the rise, and actually fatalities from DUIs have risen through the states. California is on a huge jump for DUI fatalities. The theory being that a lot of people are just sheltered in place, drinking a lot, then getting in their car, and unfortunately people are dying. So that's kind of a sad thing. We just had 3 of them last week in Orange County alone. So something for law enforcement to be aware of, I think.
Yeah, thank you for that, Nina.
Okay, have a great day.
Just a quick question for Nina. Sorry. You said the 3rd, what of the September? Monday? I didn't hear that.
Tuesday, because that's our general meeting.
Okay, Tuesday. Okay.
I'll do it out on the deck and we'll set up seating. And Cheryl, if the State Theater, if they don't want to do a separate one, we can maybe combine it because we can safely seat people. So.
Okay, well, we'll discuss that, Nina. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Nina, a quick question. Thank you for your report. Same question, I guess, for April and the downtown business district. Is there a way to poll your members to find out where they're at? And is there a way that we can get a word out that, and it'll have to obviously be done very delicately, but you know, when this all started, my wife and all of her girlfriends went out and did a tour town and patronize everybody that was open, that kind of thing. Again, I know it needs to be done delicately, but if somebody's close on the edge, if there are a way to determine who they are and somehow delicately get the word out, I would turn from the places in Old Town that I normally go and go to somewhere else.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can definitely, obviously, there are some business being pretty affected. And so I think we're going to talk about that. I'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting. I think there's ways, and people are being pretty open. I mean, I think everybody wants to try to see everybody survive through this. So I will definitely do that. And then maybe, we just do something special and hold it. And April, I'll throw this out to you. I offered this to a couple of the restaurants if they wanted to, like Carpe Vino, I think has their membership. So they're thinking about doing a membership dinner out on my deck. I'd be willing to allow any of the restaurants to do that here at the White House because it's a bigger seating than a lot of places have. So if any of the businesses really need that, I'm happy to help out.
Great. Thank you, April, for that. Any other questions for, Nina? Thank you, Nina. Any other questions for Nina? Okay, not seeing any. We'll go to Highway 49 and Monique. Any updates today?
No, we don't have any updates since last week. I will say to everyone and to Nina that the chamber usually puts on a candidates forum also, so we may want to maybe look at incorporating all of that, see what we can do. This
I
is
was
definitely
hoping to see 3 of them then, actually.
so then you can attend all of them. That's it. It's good. It's the only way we're going to get out these days. This information that came today is pretty shocking still, and I know it will affect our businesses, but at this point I haven't clearly talked to anybody else on the board. We do meet on Tuesday, so this will be top of our agenda. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Monique. Any questions for Monique? Yeah, Matt, go ahead.
Just Monique, the same comment. If you can pull your members and let us know, I think that would be a good thing.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, Marjorie, what's going on at the airport?
No new news. We don't have the meetings right now, so there's no new news. The Air Thermal is still hiring. They got 2 big contracts, and so they have been posting everywhere. They're looking for people. So if you know somebody looking for work, have them apply. I did want to talk about the businesses that need help. I know a lot of the ones that need help are the ones that don't know how to put their post on social media. If you walk by at night and look at club car seating, they're packed. Everybody else is packed. Right next door, the Royal Indian, nobody, crickets. I walked in and had a discussion about posting, and I could share on Open in Auburn, and they don't have a clue. They didn't have a clue of how that would work. I think the Himalayan place is also the same way. So I don't know if the businesses, districts down there can help, the city would help, but they need some help with how to take a picture and how to post it and how to get followers. People look online and say, what should we eat? And if they're not having a presence, people don't know that they're there. So maybe we can help with that in some way.
That's great thoughts. Thank you, Marjorie, for that. And maybe we can put our collective heads, and maybe Jackie, that might be a good chamber of
Webinar.
Workshop, but the
Webinar.
Yeah.
Yes, we've been working on one. Actually, we did have one about 2 months ago when COVID kind of first was getting really bad, and we've talked about doing another one. We actually just talked about it last week at our board meeting. So if you want to give me a list of people specifically need help, I can go personally and invite them. But it will be a free event no matter whether you're a chamber member or not. So.
Yeah, and you could just take a drive up and down the streets now that we have all this outdoor seating.
Right.
See who needs help.
Yeah, I haven't really seen anybody at the Thai place either. Are they still open?
They're open, they don't post.
Yeah.
And I really think that people are looking to eat and help, but if what they see is their competition, that's where they go.
Right.
When you post a picture, people, oh, that's right, let's go. But when they're not posting.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Marjorie, I 100% agree with you on this. It's something we notice I'm noticing it in the work we're doing, and we're trying to fill some of that gap by getting folks to let us know when they've done things. But I actually think that would be a fantastic webinar. I think there are people that don't use social channels very much or at all. And in this world that we are living, this virtual world we're living in now, I think educating our businesses about literally the necessity to have a strong presence in these various channels is tantamount to survival. I think, honestly, I could not agree more. I think this would, Jackie, I think this would be a great seminar, and if you guys get something together, we could probably help you figure out if, a speaker or whatever.
Yeah. I was just going to add that I thoroughly appreciate the webinar approach, love it. But I think that it would be important to really maybe do even a mailer or something, because those businesses that would benefit from the webinar that aren't doing social media may not even be online. So they may not even know how to do a webinar. And so I think that we just need to take an extra step. I know it's more labor intensive, but to reach out to some of the businesses that we know don't have a presence on Facebook or social media, and actually go to them and say, we're going to put this on. This is how you can connect to the webinar. This is what you need. Because I'm just concerned that if we post it, they're not going to see it because they're not there. So,
and you'll notice a lot of the companies we're talking about are first or second generation Americans, and I wonder if there's a language barrier to going to a chamber event or a webinar. Sometimes when I go and talk to them, it's like they're not getting it. So, I do think maybe person to person, bring a photographer, whatever we can do to help them. Again, I'd rather help them than have empty storefronts.
Yeah, and I mean, I would love to do a mailer, and as much as printing is in my blood, the chamber doesn't really have the funds for it right now. We're really behind on our budget. But if the city has some dollars to help us out with that, we would love to send it out to all the businesses in Auburn.
Jackie, when are you looking to do this?
We haven't set an exact date yet. We do have a social media expert on our board. I think that we talked about having him do it. So I would say probably in September. We don't want to do it too quickly because we want to make sure we get enough people to know it, but we also don't want to do it too far out that it hurts the business even more.
This is actually probably speaking a little out of turn, but for the city to be thinking in terms of economic development, recovery programs, I think something like this could be hugely beneficial to our businesses. I mean, you might even be able to kick it up to something more like a panel or whatnot, right? Because you might get 2 or 3 people that have different expertises. I was just looking at Trey Pazzi. They have 3 Instagram posts for their lifetime, right? Which, I mean, that's about as photographable of a place as there is. And
I think you'd like that place a lot. You talk about them a lot.
yeah, well, I see them from my office when I'm out.
That's a really good example.
Are you on the payroll over there?
Yeah, seriously, huh?
So that's a good example of a business that's not using social media. They post on Facebook, but they don't post food.
And they don't post a lot on Facebook either.
No, they aren't using it to their best advantage. And they are a wonderful restaurant with wonderful food and a wonderful ambiance outside with their alleyway.
Yes.
I think that they have such a strong following, like Mr. Haswell, and those people just fill it up. I mean, I rarely go by there and there's not quite a few people out there.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as they don't use social media, I don't know that they necessarily need it.
Given their location and all that's been done around there for that particular section of downtown, I think that they're probably fine.
Yeah.
I think it's the Lincoln Way, High Street further down, those, kind of businesses that need our help. And
Absolutely.
Well,
support.
and even the restaurants that are tucked away, on side streets off Highway 49.
Well, it was a bad example.
Right. Yeah, it was, Rob.
So,
Rob just wants to go over for a glass of wine and some pasta.
yeah, and question for Matt. Matt, I know the EDC budget is a little bit on hold because of the COVID budget, effect of COVID on the budget, but is helping with the mailing, is that something the EDC budget can help with?
I certainly think it is, and what more appropriate use of economic development dollars than to help support our businesses and try to keep them open. So I certainly would agree to that. Yes, Marjorie.
Okay.
I would think so too, as a, I mean,
Can I add something on, I mean, and kind of on the lines of what Alice was saying, the
Yeah, go
webinar
ahead.
fine. But I know that even dealing with when we were trying to schedule the installation of the barriers and all, there are issues. But for instance, the Taqueria, they're gangbusters all the time. And I mean, they have a following. I think Royal Indian fell off like really quickly after they first opened up. But I think what's going to be needed with some of these businesses is not just a webinar, but mentoring. There needs to be some kind of means to, whether, and that might be something the EDC could provide too, is an introductory element, but some are going to need specific mentoring or that, that really aren't going to have the capacity to just pop online and start posting things.
and just to, because we talked about them several times, they've been mentioned, the Royal Indian Cuisine. I do know personally that they're doing really well with their takeout. So we don't have to worry about them packing up and leaving. They're doing really well on the takeout side. So just want to let you guys know that. When I've spoken to them several times about that, and that part of their business is doing it very well. So
Alice, why is it just takeout them? If they have a following, it would be nice to have them have an outdoor presence.
I think that they've only been open for outdoor dining for a short time. And really what happened is they opened right when the heat wave hit, and then we had the smoke wave and heat wave. So I think it's been really bad timing. And then, and again, a lot of customers I think are still doing takeout, because even I like to go there and it was just too smoky and too hot. So I just took takeout, but they don't really have a social media presence. So I think that they could certainly.
I don't, the last time I went there, it was just a buffet. And so if they had a social media presence, they could, I don't know if they're doing more than that or if they even sell alcohol and that kind of thing. So
they do. They have alcohol and a full menu. The buffet obviously has been canceled. There's no buffets allowed anymore, but they do offer everything on their menu as takeout items. And, so yeah, it'd be great to get some more people sitting out there for sure. So.
And just to answer your question, Stan, sometimes people, like I know Carpe Vino's only doing takeout, it becomes a cost-effective measure because you can cut down on your staffing. If you're doing an only takeout, you don't have the same amount of staff. So I know for some of these restaurants, that's actually more cost-effective if they have a following in takeout.
correct. I think you're right. There's been, I know there's some restaurants that that's very profitable and they're thinking about just going that route.
Okay, I mean, some real good discussion, and I know I've talked to a couple of businesses that do delivery, for example, and I think there are different. One restaurant is not the same as the other, and their business models and how they deliver their food or provide their food or serve their food is a little different, and so it can't be a one size fits all. But definitely some good discussion, and look forward to maybe the chamber as well taking some leads here, or the EDC on ideas on mentorship. So maybe we can. Maybe as a follow-up, we can pass that to the EDC. Matt, I think you and Cheryl are on that. And maybe that's something you guys could take back to that group and then come back to this group and see if there's other things you think that the EDC could work on. Because I think I hadn't thought about it as yet, but I think the EDC is definitely a very important group that I think Marjorie said on that as well, but could take some of these thoughts we're having and then put them into motion and at least kind of put some frameworks together on some other items, and in what better way than the EDC to look at supporting our businesses that are right now in crisis mode. So Is that good, Matt and Cheryl? Would that, do you think that?
Yeah.
will back?
I would say, Marjorie, why don't you have it, email Andy and have him put it on the agenda?
That was my thoughts as well. I'll do that.
Thank you.
I'm actually see him tomorrow, so I'll just have him do it then.
Is that a meeting that I can join in on so I can be involved in that part of it?
Absolutely.
You can be a guest, yeah.
Yeah, they're public meetings, right? So anybody can attend. correct? Yeah, so that's a great idea.
I can try to get you the link to the Zoom meeting because everything's Zoom. So I see there's a Zoom webinar chat. I will ask for your email there, or I'll get it from, who has Jackie's email? April, do you have Jackie's email?
I think it would be on the
I
email.
do, Marjorie, I can send it.
Oh, yes, sure. I'll get it from this Zoom invite, and I'll send you an invite to that
Good,
one.
I think that's a good connection. So Marjorie, thank you for taking that back. We're wrapping up here, so I'll end with Visit Placer. And Rob, what's going on for you guys?
Well, have you been to Tre Paz lately? It's you know,
Where is it? I'd like to go there.
I heard they have umbrellas and outdoor dining.
and you know, all their wine's sourced from Italy. Did
And
you
it
guys-
looks like a backyard of Italy, right, Rob?
That's it. Oh, man. It's been a long week. I'll tell you, we were in the same boat as everybody else, expecting different news. We are part of Cal Travel, which is the advocacy group for tourism, spearheaded a group of mostly mountain DMOs that are very worried about getting indoor dining back online. And so we're sort of in the initial phases of joining or we're in that coalition, trying to do some advocacy prior to the fall. Obviously, our partners up in Tahoe are very concerned about it. And the interesting thing is I was talking to Sherry Conway at the county, and I said, you know, we just did this call, but I think Friday we're going to all be good. You know, so we might be doing this and not really need to worry about it, but here we are, and you know, we're getting more laid on us. So, you know, we're just continuing to try to, put a flashlight on our businesses, on our safety, all the things that we've been doing, and trying to find ways to do this other advocacy work. You know, and otherwise, it's, you know, we're all in the same boat, really, legitimately. I love this idea, though, that we've just been kicking around, and it's something that I might deep dive a little bit. I think there could be more need of it, even at a more county-wide level. So there might be a possibility. I think it's a huge missing support scenario that this group has touched on today that I think could be a huge benefit to our businesses. Because that's one of the reasons we've had to send photographers out, is that some businesses are good at taking photos of their food and that kind of thing, but then they don't do a good job of illustrating, you know, how good their experience is, because people are still trying to find outdoor dining areas that provide an experiential, and they're out there. So it really got me thinking a lot about the importance of educating a lot of these folks that just haven't, you know, giving them opportunity if they want. So the other thing about Auburn is it seems like we have 1 million groups that all have 10,000 followers on Facebook. So you wouldn't really have to build a huge list of followers right out of the chute to get traction, right? You just have to, teach people how to tag the right folks to get it shared in the right places where there's a lot of folk. And so I think it's something that could help very, very quickly. So anyway, I know we're over. Anybody want drinks at Tre Paz, I'll be there.
Hey,
Right.
Rob, on the same lines, maybe you could help out or pass the word. I guess Auburn Bodega said they only spent $30 on misters, and that sure does add a lot. I went over there and it just cools everything down and makes it wonderful. So, when you're going around, tell them add a few misters for the hot days.
Misters and heat lamps, interchange.
Exactly. Yes. Save up your money for heat lamps.
That's not going to help in Tahoe, so I really hope we can get our brains around this this new tiering system.
Yep, very nice. Well, okay, a lot of information, not the news we all wanted. I think this was actually very productive. There's a number of follow-ups as well that I'll capture and send out to the group so we can follow back up. And then since we probably got the breaking news, we were expecting that it was going to be breaking news. There probably won't be anything major for the next week. So with that, we'll go ahead and schedule our next meeting for September 11th. So 2 weeks from now, if something else comes up, we will we'll reach back out. But thank you everyone for some good discussion. And I think we're all going to learn a little bit more, and I will be happy to follow up with the county and share that out when I get it. So for that, I'll go ahead and close the meeting, and we will talk to you guys all later. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good week, everyone. Oh, we're all just so nice. Oh.